The face of the French far-right movement, Marine Le Pen's dream to lead France has been dealt a major blow. She's been convicted of embezzlement and barred from running for public office for 5 years. Le Pen has denied any wrongdoing. So, will this conviction end her career or help fuel it? Hello and welcome to Roundtable. I'm Enda Brady. Now, the three-time French presidential candidate Marine Le Pen has been found guilty of embezzling European funds to prop up the finances of her own national rally party. She's effectively been disqualified from running in the 2027 presidential elections, which were set to be her last run. So, what does her political setback mean for the French far-right movement, and who could replace her?
French far-right leader Marine Le Pen's ambition of becoming the next French president could be over. She has been found guilty of embezzlement and left the courthouse before hearing she'd received an immediate 5-year ban from running for public office. Le Pen refutes her conviction and will appeal. She says it was a tactic used by her rivals to stop her from winning the 2027 presidential election, in which she was the front-runner according to opinion polls.
They stole the legislative election from us through scandalous manoeuvres. Let me be clear, we will not let the presidential election be stolen from the French. And so we will defend ourselves. We will use all means at our disposal to allow the French people to choose their future leader, and we will win.
Le Pen, alongside at least 8 National Rally Party MEPs and 12 assistants, were accused of diverting millions of European Parliament funds to pay their staff in France. The judge said Le Pen had been at the heart of the scheme and issued her a 4-year jail sentence with a 2-year suspension, although she's not expected to serve jail time. Her conviction may increase her popularity in the far-right movement, as over the weekend, hundreds of her supporters rallied against her conviction in Paris.
Let me say that our code of conduct will never be about brutalization that will be costly to other political groups, but rather a pacifist one, like that of Reverend Martin Luther King for the civil rights of Americans who were oppressed and deprived of rights back in the day. And so for this, we invite all French people committed to freedom to stand by our side in a pacifist and democratic resistance, a people's patriot resistance.
US President Donald Trump compared Marine Le Pen's conviction to his legal battles.
She was banned for running for 5 years and she's the leading candidate. That sounds like this country. That sounds very much like this country.
Elon Musk also showed his support. Elon wrote on X, "When the radical left can't win via democratic vote, they abuse the legal system to jail their opponents. This is their standard playbook throughout the world." Her removal from the presidential race has intensified a debate in France over how judges police politics. In response, French President Emmanuel Macron affirmed that justice is independent and it must therefore be respected as a pillar of France's democracy. How will her conviction impact the far-right movement in France? And can her party win the next election without her?
Well, let's meet our guests who are all in France today. In Paris, we have Nabila Ramdani. She's the French journalist and author of Fixing France, How to Repair a Broken Republic. And also in the French capital, we have Raphael Liogier. He's a sociologist professor at Sciences Po X. You're both very welcome to Roundtable. Nabila, to you first of all, she has a reputation as a political survivor. Can Marine Le Pen survive all of this?
No, I don't think Marine Le Pen has any political future. That's my honest opinion. Remember that she has been found guilty of embezzlement of public funds and crucially a ban from standing for public office for 5 years. and this will cover the 2027 presidential elections in France, when the far-right Marine Le Pen would have had a clear chance. She would have been a clear favorite to replace Emmanuel Macron as president of France. It has to be said that there is now a bitter legal row taking place as Le Pen tries to overturn the ban and indeed her conviction. I personally don't think she has much of a future in politics in France. She's been caught out spectacularly. Remember that the embezzlement wasn't just a single incident, but a chain of wrongdoings that went on for at least a decade, and she now thinks that she has an outside chance of an appeal against her sentence succeeding. The Paris Appeal Court has now guaranteed to hear her appeal by the spring of 2026, which is, of course, a year before the 2027 presidential election. But even if she wins the appeal against the ban, against the election ban, there is no possibility she's going to be cleared of the embezzlement, in which case she will be the first politician in French history to stand for high office as a convicted criminal. Now, just imagine turning up at election meetings wearing an electronic tag on your ankle. I think her career is in ruins, and crucially, opinion polls concur. There's an opinion poll for Le Figaro that reveals that 65% of French citizens said that they are not shocked by the Le Pen verdict, and just as significantly, 61% of those surveyed approve of Le Pen's conviction, and they consider that it's a sign that democracy is functioning well, and that she was indeed treated like any other French citizen. So the myth that her martyr status, if you like, will mean she or the party will do better is absolutely preposterous.
Let's bring in Raphael. Raphael, your thoughts on this. Do you think it's game over now for Marine Le Pen?
I tend to disagree with what was just said. It could happen the way it was said. I mean, it could happen this way, ideally. But I think she hasn't played all her cards because, I mean, she's trying to play a little bit more that thing about against the legal system, the fact that the system is against her. She's playing a little bit like she wants to appear like a French Trump. And I think it would work. Let's imagine she wins in 2026. I think the dynamic of having won her appeal will be like you can see that the tribunal was a ideological tribunal with the first sentence, and so I won the appeal because, in fact, I'm pure, and I won the appeal against this system you're all against. I mean, at least the people that vote for her, there are people that think being against the system. So I think she will appear even more to be the person that is against the system. And now, can we really trust the polls? It's true that the polls right now say otherwise. But, I mean, as far as I remember, before the election of Donald Trump, I mean, the polls had been for the Democrats. So I don't think that it will be. I don't think that the game is already over for her. On the contrary, I think she could appear like the kind of the victim that at the end was, victorious against the system.
Well, let's bring in the British journalist and political editor Adam Boulton, who joins us from the Savoie region of the French Alps. Adam, give us your take. Is this the end of the road politically for Marine Le Pen?
No, I don't think so. And I don't think so for the simple reason that the decision yesterday from the Courts of Appeal that they're going to speed up her appeal was recognition that she is not being treated like a citizen like anybody else. The whole issue here basically is the ban on her from running for election for 5 years, which came into force immediately. And obviously that would spoil her chances of being elected. But if they're going to speed up the consideration of the case, the possibility that the suspension, the ban could be lifted irrespective of the outcome of the whole thing, I think that is, as the head of the appeals court said, recognizing that there is an election deadline. So whether, Rassemblement National wants to keep this alive, I think she is certainly alive now until that appeal comes in next summer.
Adam, what did you make of all the commentary on social media, people saying that this is extremely convenient for the French establishment?
Well, I agreed with it, frankly. It's very rare to have this immediate ban imposed. It was a matter of discretion from the chief judge. We know that there have been similar cases of this embezzlement from the European Parliament, and we know that there haven't been similar suspensions. I mean, the Prime Minister himself at the moment, his party was found guilty of embezzlement. He wasn't personally, he wasn't suspended. That's now being appealed by the prosecution in France. So clearly, it looks to the rest of the world as if something has gone wrong here. The initial opinion polls in France have said that, something between 54 and 57% think that justice has been served. But then there's an awful lot more than 40% who weren't happy with the initial conclusions. And so I think this just remains a live issue. And certainly, reading the French press here, a lot of people are talking about Trumpism. Doesn't seem to me necessarily that going through the legal processes and raising these points is Trumpist at all. We haven't heard anyone saying that the court shouldn't be respected, which of course is very much the position that Trump took.
So Nabila, is the big winner in all of this Jordan Bardella, her deputy at the National Rally? Is he likely to benefit from all of this kind of disruption around Le Pen?
Well, first of all, if I may have a comeback on what has just been said, I think Marine Le Pen is trying to clear her name in two ways. One, using the media to make a huge amount of noise, and two, through the law courts. Now, the National Rally still tries to pretend it is anti-establishment, which is ridiculous, as it is now the largest party in the National Assembly. It has dominated French politics this century, regularly coming second in presidential elections. And Le Pen now has acted as if she respects French Republican institutions. Her party is a fiercely nationalistic one, and patriotism is expected. But she's also making out, meanwhile, that French judges are corrupt and out to destroy democracy, which is an impossible situation. And meanwhile, she comes out with hyperbolic nonsense as she encourages supporters of her populist party to take to the streets to fight for her future. She's calling for peaceful demonstrations, it has to be added. But she also, during a highly charged crisis meeting at the National Assembly last week, she said with a straight face that the establishment had dropped the nuclear bomb. In fact, Marine Le Pen is entirely responsible for the destruction of her entire career, and she needs to finally acknowledge this while also showing some remorse for her appalling crimes. As far as the future of the party is concerned, and Jordan Bardella seems to be the anointed dauphin, if you like. But I don't think there's an obvious heir in waiting. I think, in fact, Jordan Bardella, he's just a Marine Le Pen groupie. He's just 29 and he's an absolute lightweight. Most significantly of all, he's not a Le Pen, and he can't hope to emulate two of the most powerful and indeed charismatic characters in recent French history, that is Marine Le Pen and her now late father, Jean-Marie Le Pen, who was head of the party before her and who indeed founded it in 1972. Now, whether you like them or hate them, the Le Pens were hugely successful in what they did. Individually, they both came runner-up in the French presidential election, which is an enormous achievement.
Raphael, just come in on the Bardella factor here. Is he likely to benefit from all of the noise around Le Pen now? And can a 29-year-old seriously run for president in France?
Yeah, I think he will benefit from it. He already did, actually. But it's true that his age is a little bit of a handicap for him. But I disagree with something else that was said. I think his age is a handicap, the fact that he hasn't too much experience. But I think that the fact that he's not a Le Pen is not a handicap, on the contrary, because there was this idea that the Rassemblement National is supposed to be against the establishment, but it's like if it had become an establishment on its own with inheritance and all that. And so this criticism could be overcome with someone that doesn't have the name of Le Pen. The fact that there is this name of Le Pen, I think there are people in the Rassemblement National, and specifically the new generation in the Rassemblement National, that are fed up with the very name of Marine Le Pen. When you go to those huge conferences and rally of the Rassemblement National, it's really him, Jordan Bardella, that is acclaimed, especially by the new generation that are the new voters of the Rassemblement National. So I think he could capitalize on that. Now, having said that, I think there will be other people that are right now not too famous, a little bit hidden in the Rassemblement National, that could be that could get out of the wood, as we say in French, to challenge him because his age, because he's too young, because his lack of experience. That's what I think. But again, also, what is happening now in the French general debate we can't be sure of what will happen. There is a huge debate now in France about the very definition of democracy. On one side, you have people that say democracy is the people, it's the Rassemblement National. And on the other side, there are people that say, no, democracy is the rule of law. And some, populist against people that looks like the establishment that want to protect freedom, liberty of expression, and all that. Things are not determined yet. But yes, I think he has an advantage now, Jordan Bardella.
Adam, to you, do you think Marine Le Pen should be worried about her number two, Bardella, creeping up, young, very good social media game as we've seen in the past? Are you thinking that maybe he will end up being the candidate?
Well, it's really up to him, isn't it? I mean, were he to say now, look, it just doesn't seem as if it's feasible for Marine Le Pen to go and to try and attempt a sort of internal rebellion within the party, that would be very, very damaging with her. If, on the other hand, he sticks with her until the appeal is through, clearly either she will run or he will have the advantage of claiming that the rightful candidate has been disqualified by the legal process. So I would have thought it's in his interest for now to stick with her, particularly given that they seem to have a close relationship. Of course, there are other people on the French right who might try and run as candidates in this, French system where a lot of people run, two of them get through to the second round. And, it's possible that without Marine Le Pen, the Front National, the Rassemblement National wouldn't even get through to the second round, which she has done. So I can't see for him at the moment a great political advantage in splitting, even if he wanted to do so. What may happen with all this is that people like the present French Interior Minister, who has some pretty right-wing policies, he may emerge as a candidate on the right for the presidency if Marine Le Pen isn't there. I agree with what's been said that this is a very difficult moment for Rassemblement National, but having seen what has happened around the world, I wouldn't be so quick to write off this movement. And as I say, I think it's clear now that for all the talk of the rule of law, that politics and the rule of law are intermingling. And when that happens, in France, just as anywhere else, it's not clear these days to see what the outcome will be.
Thanks, Adam. Nabila, Adam makes a very good point about the Interior Minister, doesn't he? Bruno Retailleau. He speaks very strongly on immigration, issues that a lot of French people have very strong opinions on. Is he likely to emerge as a candidate for the right to rally around?
Well, I think Adam is right. I mean, there's an argument that the National Front, as it was founded, now the National Rally, has made issues such as immigration or indeed identity and indeed anti-European stances more mainstream. But there's an awful lot of competitors who claim to have introduced these ideas into mainstream politics, and Rotaillot is one of them. Of course, there's other ones on the far right, to the far right, dare I say, like Éric Zemmour, Marion Maréchal Le Pen, but also on occasions the current President Emmanuel Macron himself. So there will be a lot of competition when it comes to campaigning for the next presidential elections, and that's why Jordan Bardella stands no chance. I personally think that he represents an idea of France that's long gone. That's why he's very popular amongst, believe it or not, the 65 years old plus, and not the 18 to 24 as is often made out, even though he's very popular on social media, on TikTok and the rest of it. In fact, his persona conveys the character of an old man. You know, he always dresses up in suits. He has a military, bearing to him. And that's why he appeals to the old guard of the National Front as it was founded, a party very much rooted in racism and indeed fascism. And he still believes in those old-fashioned ideas. Remember, he was much more of a supporter of Jean-Marie Le Pen, father, senior, who was a convicted racist and Holocaust denier, than of projecting Marine Le Pen's more her attempts, if you like, to rebrand the party and to get rid of the toxicity around it. But I think we should also bear in focus that there's a lot of propaganda and indeed conspiracy theories around the judgment against Marine Le Pen, but we must always look at the hard legal facts and indeed the evidence. For example, there's a claim that it was a political judgment, and the manipulative commentators from American presidential advisors Elon Musk to Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban have suggested that. But Le Pen conviction, it has to be said, was nothing less than a clear application of the law. It wasn't a snap surprise decision. It was the result of 5 months of deliberation by the judges, followed by a 12-year inquiry carried out by numerous other objective parties, including the European Parliament's anti-fraud office. So in which case, you know, the accusations that Le Pen's convictions for embezzlement, alongside some 24 other defendants linked to the National Front, is somehow part of a conspiracy by left-wing judges, is absolutely preposterous.
Thanks, Nabila. Raphael, just talk to me about how President Macron will be feeling this week. I'm guessing privately he will be very, very happy indeed.
I mean, I'm not President Macron, and I'm not. I don't belong to his inner circle, but I think he'll be happy. Yes, I think he'll be happy because he's already kind of back in the game with on the international relation side, on the defense of Europe as Europe being, I mean, defending democracy against this new alliance with Russia and the US and all that. And now it's just even more. And now he can be also back inside the game, not only on international matter, but on internal matter. And that's, I think, something that I don't even think that he would have dreamed of such a positive situation for him, knowing in which position he was in the polls and everywhere, like 1 year ago. So I think it's very positive. I think it's very positive for him. The situation is very positive. And in fact, it's when he is in this kind of position, when the game are open again, that is, and there is some kind of a crisis, that is really good.
Adam, final point to you. Where we are in Europe at the moment, where we are in the world, this is a huge role, isn't it? President of France, it's absolutely imperative that whoever becomes the president in 2 years' time, the French make the right choice.
Yeah, I mean, it is absolutely pivotal, particularly given, what's going on in Ukraine, how the Trump administration is behaving. The president, with the Chancellor of Germany and the British Prime Minister, potentially are the moving forces within a united Europe, or they could fall out quite badly with each other in terms of responding to the United States. So, yeah, it's very important. And while I agree with everything that's just been said about President Macron, circumstances going in his favor personally, the big point is that there is no successor to Macronism or Macron evident for this presidential race in 2027. And there is massive uncertainty as to which direction France is going to be heading then, which is not a happy place to be in.
Adam, you've been covering politics for half a century. Have you ever seen anything like the Le Pen situation?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, one looks across the Atlantic and we have seen a president getting into very serious legal trouble, or a presidential candidate getting into very serious legal trouble. Of course, they don't have bans on convicted felons from running for the presidency, and Donald Trump is now ensconced. And I think we'll all have to wait and see whether he follows his son, Donald Trump Jr., in tweeting support or expressing support on Truth Social for Marine Le Pen.
We'll keep across it. Adam, Nabila and Raphael, thank you all so much for your insight on this one. Remember, you can see more discussion and debate on our YouTube channel. Just search for Roundtable TRT World. But for now, from me, Enda Brady, and all the team here, goodbye and thank you for watching.